It's a lovely Saturday evening. You're tuned to Invicta 98.9 FM. It's time for the Never Dull Moment program on radio, Ground Zero. And today on Ground Zero, we shall be looking at procurement monitoring, getting some updates and looking at the roles of government and, of course, the civil society organization in ensuring that we have a sane and decent procurement process in Nigeria. My name is Ehis Agbon, and on the program today, I have quite a number of persons. Not forgetting too that the program is powered by PPDC, that's Public and Private Procurement Development Center. And my guest today, I have Vershima Tingir. He's from PPDC. Vershima, you're welcome to Ground Zero.
Thank you very much.
I also have with me in the studio Martins Abbas Dangwa. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Ehis, for having me.
Also in the team today, we have Leslie Dongh. Leslie, you're welcome to Ground Zero.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And of course, you can be a part of the program by going to our various social media platforms to also add your voice to the conversation. You have questions that you want to ask, you let us know. You go straight to on Twitter and Instagram at Invicta 989 FM, and on Facebook is Invicta FM 98.9. Invicta FM 98.9 on Facebook. You can also watch our live video stream on Facebook. And for the program specific Twitter handles, you can go to at Ehis Agbon on Twitter, and also at Ground Zero 247. At Ground Zero 247. Let's have your thoughts, ask your questions, and make your contributions. And of course, in the course of the program, we'll open up the phone line so you can also add your voice to our conversation this evening. Now, procurement monitoring update in Nigeria, role of government and CSO is broadly what we'll be looking at today. But first, we get to understand what all of these, what procurement is. I'll start from Vershima. Vershima, once again, I want to welcome you to Ground Zero. I can't hear you.
Hello.
All right. Okay, talk to us. What is procurement, relating it to what we'll be discussing today?
Okay, so in the simplest of terms, procurement is basically the process of buying, purchasing, acquiring goods or services for specific, group of people. But in this situation, we're talking particularly about for citizens.
Okay.
So it is the process where, tying it back to public procurement, is the process where the government meets the needs of citizens by either buying, purchasing, or acquiring goods or services that are needed to be able to meet those demands that citizens continue to make.
Okay. Now, so basically, when we talk about procurement monitoring, is monitoring all of this process and all of that. Okay. I know that PPDC has been in Kaduna for quite some time now. In recent time, you guys have been doing some research and coming out with some reports and all of that. We'd like to broadly understand what you guys have been doing in Kaduna.
Yeah, thanks for that. For the past few years, since 2017, when PPDC initially signed an MOU with the Kaduna State Public Procurement Authority to support the state in its implementation of open contracting. And after that, we have continued to support the state to ensure that the state is meeting up with the demands or with the standard of open contracting, and is publishing the data, making it accessible for people to use. And then we've also been supporting other civil society organizations, because we realized at the end of the day that with producing or with creating a system, there has to be the supply and the demand side. The supply side, which is the government, which we support to ensure that they are making that data available. We also realize that there is a need for us to support the demand side as well. So that means training civil society organizations, providing technical support to be able to make use of this data, and then of course other things such as this contract monitoring that also help us to meet the goals that PPDC initially set out, and which is to promote citizens' participation in governance. So we see that by making information available, by supporting different groups to be able to have access to this, to this information, sort of create that ecosystem where people are leveraging on each other's skills or demands or use to be able to lead to those goals of ensuring that there's better service delivery for people. There is improved governance, as just a general term. So within the past couple of weeks to months, what we tried to do is we took a step back from all of this work that we've been doing for some time now, and we wanted to just have a broader look at the systems, the people, stakeholders, everybody that is involved in trying to understand how much progress have we been able to make, and this also cuts across the work that is not being done by PPDC but also done by similar stakeholders, but are also trying to meet the same goal. So also trying to have a system approach or system-wide view of what other people are also doing, what the state has signed up to, and how are we as a community faring towards meeting those goals. So which was what led to us doing the research and also some of the other activities that we've done in the past in this space. And I know that my colleagues here will speak more about them.
Yeah, I'll come to Leslie Dongh now, talking about the research, the process, the report, and all of that. Still shed more light on all of this, taking it from an angle away from the PPDC angle now.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. So taking it away from the PPDC angle, about 4 weeks or so ago, I was brought on board to help in carrying out this research that aims to, like Ver had said, find out how much progress has been made since PPDC came on board in 2017 in terms of monitoring public procurement. Of course, there are several other platforms through which this monitoring has actually taken place, besides the ones that PPDC had been able to support. But we understand that it's towards the same goal. So we had to look at it from like different angles. Interestingly, Kaduna also signed into the OGP in 2017. I think that should be like a song now.
And what is OGP again?
Open Government Partnership. So it's something that we all should know, that with this, both citizens and government can sit on the same table and co-create for the good of the people. So with this kind of platform, we expect that we shouldn't be where we used to be. So the research set out to engage government, or we'll say state and non-state actors as to where we are now. From 2017 that PPDC came, and there are so many tools that have been created or built to help this monitoring easy. We have the OCDS portal, the Open Contracting Data Standard Portal, which is a global portal for every state or sub-national or national government to adapt in order to make procurement process transparent. We have the Eyes and Ears project, which is a government project. So just reviewing all these platforms and how far they've actually gone was the aim and the goal for this research. So it was basically interviewing, again, like I said, state and non-state. We spoke to citizens, we spoke to civil society, we spoke to government, just to find out if there's been any progress. And of a truth, I think to an extent, Kaduna is actually moving in a good direction, only that there is more to be done. And I don't know if this is a good time to look into some of the findings.
Of course.
Okay, so we try to look at several themes in this research. We try to look at the landscape assessment, the institutional arrangements. We try to look at policies. We try to look at the technical assessment of the monitoring processes in the state. Some of the things that we found out was, of course, there are several laws that are guiding public procurement in the state. And these laws range from the CALPED PPA law, the CALPED PPA guidelines, the Budget and Planning Commission Act, the Fiscal Responsibility Act, the Local Government Law, and the Audit Law. So these are just a few of the laws that guide public procurement in the state. And this was, recognized across board from citizens, from the government, and all of that. We also we found out that the budgeting process in the state, because when we talk about fiscal transparency and monitoring public procurement, we also would talk about budgeting. The budgeting process, we found out, is now an inclusive process.
Inclusive in the sense that
citizens are now being carried along from the MTEF, the medium-term expenditure framework, up to monitoring. So citizens can also monitor, thanks to some of the other platforms. We have the budget tracker, Budeshi, and all of that.
Yeah.
But there was a but. The but was the procurement process. Citizens are only
they are only made aware,
but they are not included. All this came out during the research. And of course, we were together yesterday, and you heard some of these things re-echoed.
Yeah.
Budgeting, we're happy with the way we are being carried along. Contracting and procurement, well, we're only informed, we're only aware, we are not being carried along. So these were some of the things that came out during the research. We also found out that there are some institutions that we expect to be very active and engaging in the way they actually set up. An example is the Kaduna State Fiscal Responsibility Commission, which up until now, I would say, permit me, has been a toothless bulldog. Some people don't even know that there is a Kaduna State Fiscal Responsibility Commission. When I mean some people, I mean some state actors. I mentioned this to someone on Thursday. His face went gloomy. Like, did you just say that there's a Fiscal Responsibility Commission in Kaduna? I said, yes. This is a Kashim Ibrahim fellow who is surprised that there's a Fiscal Responsibility Commission in the state. It was during the research, we also made some findings about how the commission has been inactive for, I think, the last 4 or 5 years, and only recently they had staff. I know Martins will shed more light on how there was a time they even visited the office and there was no one in the office. So these are some of the things that came out during the research. Then we found out that some of the platforms, like the OCDS platform, that we expect to go to and find all the information regarding contract and public procurement. So even in the event that citizens are not being carried along, according to the findings of our research, we expect that at least the OCDS portal should be a one-stop shop where people can just go and get information on maybe the start date, finish date, how much is meant for a project and all of that. The OCDS template is about 23 fields. It has 23 fields.
Okay.
Interestingly, we found out that in some cases, less than 10 fields information are usually available in less than 10 fields. So how do citizens now get the information that they are looking for? So these and many more were the things that came out during the research, and we have to an extent some evidence to actually prove. We're only joking yesterday, and we said, by the time we are bringing out this report, they won't go and quickly
fill up the other fields.
So we were sure to capture some of these findings with evidence, and we hope that going forward, this report will help both PPDC, the state, citizens, and CSOs to engage better in terms of contracting and public procurement.
Okay, I'll come to Martins now, because in the course of this conversation, it's just that citizens are not totally and completely involved, but only informed. What would be the reason for this, and have you been able to identify some of the blockages or gap in the process and system?
Well, for me, I want to see it as the newness of these reforms. Before 2015, even the budget document was not public. More or less details around procurement. However, what we had back then, you could still see a signpost at a procurement site that tells you, government is doing this particular project. This is what the title of the project is. This is the ministry, department or agency of government that is handling or implementing this project. However, we are seeing now a higher level of commitment to very serious reforms like the Open Government Partnership, like the State Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability Program, like the Performance for Results commitments that the Kaduna State government have signed onto. And so yes, these commitments are tasking and bringing that level of reforms that we are having on ground. However, making this thing a reality is a challenge that goes just beyond government. Citizens have to also keep coming around to make sure that transparency is transparency for them as they see and deem fit. And then government is also to be encouraged, to increase its own resolve and commitment to that, to these reforms. So I'm thinking that for me, the challenge here is about institutions, institutional capacity in ensuring that these reforms, one, thrive, are implemented as they ought to, and then provide a sustainability framework for it. So I would not look at it within the context of individuality. I would say that institutional weaknesses are the major challenge around that, because when we say we have done reforms, that this is the way procurements will be happening in Kaduna State, that it's going to be transparent, citizens can have access to all information that can enable them effectively engage these procurement process, then definitely we would need to have the institutions that are now strengthened to deliver around this mandate. And these are some of the issues that are being x-rayed, and the challenges as they are also being identified.
And identifying some of these challenges, I'm sure solutions will be provided to create a platform. Now, I'll come back to you, Leslie. Some of these, when we go to those portals that have been provided and all of that, and the fact that even the OCDS portal, where some of the lines were left blank, what do you think can be done to encourage either the government to populate it or to further engage the system? Because we need a holistic document for everybody to be part of the process and play their roles effectively.
Yeah, so I would go by what Martins had earlier said. He said something about newness.
Yeah.
So perhaps it is a new process that people have to come to terms with. This is not the way things were actually being done before now. So when you introduce a new system, you expect people, to take some time before they now get used to it or are acclimatized. One thing, though, that stood out, that I think is worth mentioning, is the fact that there is some form of capacity gap, even among some of the government officers who should be responsible for updating this document. So we found out again, while we were carrying out some of these interviews, that procurement officers who are tasked with the responsibility to update these forms sometimes are lacking in capacity. For example, some of them are not ICT, and this because these things again they involve the use of computers and technology. Some of them are incapacitated to use this platform. Sometimes they also complain of lack of resources. So we had a case where it was that the procurement officer didn't have access to internet or something. So yes, they have those challenges. So again, we need to build and up the capacity of some of our procurement. Yes, we know that trainings have actually been going on. There was a recent training, I think in May or June, where I think CAD PPA, the procurement agency, trained over 100 plus procurement officers, both from state and local government level. So these trainings perhaps will have to be more intentional, so that those who are left or tasked with the responsibility of updating these platforms will do that timely, accurately, and everyone would also get to benefit from it. So I think it's around the major challenge is around capacity.
Okay.
And the solution is to continue to build capacity or strengthen capacity. It's a continuous thing. I know PPDC is doing its best time and again, like you heard, said from 2017 till date, they're always trying to come up with one workshop or training or the other, so that. But I don't think we should rely on such. We should also think outside the box. Government should do more.
Look inwards and all of that. That was actually what I was coming to next. The area of government looking inwards and even building the capacity of their personnel, not waiting for others to do it. Now, we've been talking about government at the state level and all of that. I know that procurement goes beyond just state level. The local government areas are also part of this whole process. Now, what's their role in all of this? Let me come to Martins.
Okay. Well, local governments as a tier of government also handle procurement. And in Kaduna State, for instance, the Kaduna State Public Procurement Law covers even the local government councils. In the same way, state government agencies are expected to make disclosures of this procurement. Local governments are also encouraged to do the same. If you go to the Kaduna Public Procurement Authority's website, you will find that in the open contracting space there, you will find local government projects uploaded. However, it has not been consistent. And one very remarkable thing is that the local government development plan, as we have it and being reviewed currently, for each of these local governments have an implementation strategy that says that for every procurement, every project that government is doing, that is the local government itself is doing, the communities involved benefiting from this procurement should be provided information that will be adequate for them to have what we call a community project report card developed by this community and shared with the local government planning committee, just so that in the course of time there is the review of some of these programs and projects implemented to see whether or not they are contributing to the real performance indicators around the development plan. So this is what is on paper.
Okay, what's on ground now?
But what is on ground, however, is that even while local governments are interested in putting forward these reforms, like it was captured, you can see that as part of the key indicators around a fiscal transparency program being run at local government levels called Local Government Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability Program. Now, right there, this is an indicator that you will have provided this kind of details to communities to effectively track and monitor budget. You must have ensured that all of your procurements are in line with the existing guidelines of government. So if these things are being judiciously followed, we're supposed to get to the point where citizens can really link budget to projects that are being implemented in their community. However, we are not so close to it yet for reasons that the local government councils are not being encouraged. They have expended so much resources in terms of developing capacity, in terms of putting together some needed infrastructure, especially around ICT, developing websites, bringing up Facebook accounts, ensuring that these platforms are functional and trying their best to educate the communities around what they are doing. These are all so that they can benefit from more incentives that were, tied to this program around the lifters. All of the indicators, as we all know, is supposed to, if met by local government, local government ought to have benefited, like say 20 million. And there is a ranking that was conducted, and so far, this ranking has now been tied to cash awards. However, these disbursements have not come forth, and so local governments are now thinking that it will be foolhardy for them to continue to expend resources around improving transparency to that level where it is costing them and they are not getting the benefits that government has promised.
Yes, you're listening to Ground Zero on Invicta 98.9 FM, and this evening we are looking at procurement monitoring update in Nigeria, with specific emphasis on Kaduna State, and of course looking at the roles of government and the CSO. We've had so much. We'll come back to PPDC now, and from all of this, PPDC has done so much. But there's still some more to be done in the area of capacity building and also information dissemination and all of that. I'll come to Vershima now. They mentioned capacity building, not just at the state level, also at the local government level. Is there any plan on the offing, or has it been done before at the local government level, and what are the plans we are looking at in the near future?
So, from just what Leslie and Martins have been saying, it's just further proving the point that it was very important for us to, take this step to sort of analyze or review what is currently attainable in the state, and then based on that, come up with recommendations or come up with next steps that we are going to be taking.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the capacity building, just like I have said, we have done some work around that, ensuring that we are doing our best to build capacity. But this research obviously has shown that there is still more work to be done. But something that I would say very interesting that I've also seen from the research is the fact that recommendations or steps that need to be taken or recommendations that have come out from the research don't only speak to what PPDC can do.
Okay.
It speaks to what other civil society organizations working in the space can do. It speaks to what government in its own right and with what they have can also do. And of course, as citizens also how we can all contribute to ensure that we are meeting those goals, those reform goals that the state has earlier signed up to. I am certain that with the findings from the research, with these recommendations on building capacity, PPDC will continue to, as much as possible, continue to gather those resources that will be needed to continue support, continue to push for more of this capacity building. But I'll also say that what is very important, or what I see to be very important for PPDC at this moment, even much more than building capacity, is being able to, you know, coordinate at this point a lot of this. What would I say? What was the word I would use? But coordinate a lot of these steps that need to be taken, right? In terms of guiding other civil society organizations within the state who are willing to, you know, support in building this capacity, and also supporting or giving direction in a way, sort of, to the government to say that, hey, this is what we've seen, or these are the areas that we've seen that you need to build the capacity of your staff on. So, you know, we will be able to, you know, be able to play that role much more better than us saying that we are going to take on the sole responsibility of building capacity, because as much as it is key, there are also other things that we have found that need to be set as the foundation that would create the better structure for improving fiscal transparency in the state.
All right, I'll come to Martins again now. We've talked about building capacity both for state actors, non-state actors, the local government level, and even at the community level, citizenship in general. I know that CALPED, it's one of the CSOs in Kaduna, and I know that you also work around procurement and all of that. How have you guys been able to identify those that need their capacity built? And if you've identified that or not, what roles do you think you can also play in all of this, or creating that bridge between PPDC that would come with capacity building also? Because we need to identify those that first would need the capacity building immediately, then second to the general public.
Okay, well, yes, we have, as it pertains to non-state actors. As we continue to interface with communities, we see communities interested in knowing projects that in their communities, who is implementing, what are these projects targeted at, and then we have also seen communities interested in providing feedback to government. That is around the non-state actors. And here now, we do not only bring it to their notice about, oh, there are these reforms, there are these pieces of legislation that could enable you, that empowers you to ask these questions. There are also means through which you can ask them. Communities now are writing requests for procurement data from government, you know, and thankfully PPDC is also providing immense support, you know, for them to do that through CALPED. And then we also have this request as they come into government institutions. We begin to see the capacity gaps around how long it takes government to, you know, respond and provide feedback and all of that. So this is also exposing to us the capacity gaps, the concern around inadequacy of human capital, the concerns around how perhaps some certain kind of reforms, resolutions of the executive council or state government, as wide as it is affecting the capacity of the ministries, departments, and agencies of government implementing mandates, you know, to really annex the communities to whatever it is that they are doing. So yes, we are identifying that, and as we identify that, we don't just stay there. We want to hold, you know, like the dialogue, multi-stakeholder dialogues with them, and have them provide this kind of feedback to them. Oh, we have noticed this, we have noticed that, and in most instances, again, you find that we are sharing communique with government, pointing these areas of needs and concerns, and all of it is to ensure that government on our own part also now can reach out, look for help around how to have this capacity strengthened. At local government level, however, we are doing that directly with the local government councils. We are not just, we are facilitating a lot of the programs around improving fiscal transparency, improving accountability, and that we are doing directly with local, with government institutions, other than just pointing them to some of these areas of need. So yes, and if the opportunity should avail itself, we will also be willing to help ensure that government really meets up to this noble objective and goal that the administration has come with in improving fiscal transparency in the state.
All right. You're listening to Ground Zero on Invicta 98.9 FM. It's about time we open up the phone lines, and of course you can go to our various social media platforms and drop your comments and observations, starting from Facebook, where we have the live video feeds at Invicta FM 989. Also, you can go to Ground 0247, where we also are streaming live, and also add your comment or ask a question. The numbers to dial if you want to be a part of the program this evening is 081 40,000 989 and 070 87 800 989. Those are the numbers to dial. That's 081 40,000 989 and 070 87 800 989. On Facebook, it's Invicta FM 989. Invicta FM 989, and Twitter, you can go to Ground 0247 and add your voice to the conversation. Okay. All right, we'll come back to studio. I'll come down to Leslie Dongh. Having heard all of this, the need for capacity building, and Martin's identifying the subsect that needs their capacity built and all of that, what would be the targeted form of capacity that should be built in these persons? Because one, we know they need to improve their ICT skills, they need to improve their understanding of the procurement process itself and all of that. Tell us about these processes and the aspect of it that they need to know.
Okay, so I think just to add to what Martins and they had actually said initially, at local government level, not all is actually due. I would encourage peer learning at local government level, because if you go to the OCDS portal, you find some local governments whose contracting information are on the portal, Lere, Sabongari, and the likes, Egabi. So
let me take this call quickly. Hello, good evening, welcome to Ground Zero. Hello. Hello. Hello, good evening. I think we may be experiencing some technical hitches. We'll get that sorted out. All right, go on, Leslie.
Okay, so yes, like I was saying, so I think the first place to start is with peer learning. There are local governments who are working hard to ensure that their procurement processes are as transparent as possible. Now, for others who are finding it difficult to get to that level, they can leverage on the learning of those who have already started to implement some of these.
Let's see if we can get this. Okay. Hello, good evening. Hello. Hello. Okay. All right, please go.
Okay. So yes, having said that, I think the next thing will be for us to also understand that when we talk capacity building, we're looking at capacity building at all levels, both for state and non-state actors, because there are citizens who also need to be up to speed.
Let's see if hello. Hello, good evening. Yeah, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero. I can barely hear you. can't hear you. Sorry, we are trying to sort out these technical issues that we're having. Just hello, good evening. Okay, 081400989 and 07087800989 are the numbers to dial so that we can get your angle. Okay, let's be sorry about that.
Yes, no problem. So, first of all, let's look within ourselves, inwardly. Where can we get this learning from, without depending on donor support or government?
Okay.
That is one. Two.
Let's see if we can pick this.
Okay, I hope we do.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero.
My name is Buba Umar.
All right, Buba Umar, good evening and welcome to the program.
Yeah, I just want to ask your resource person about what he talks about OGP.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, one of the campaign promises of this regime, in fact, in general, APC regime, they say they want a town hall meeting in order to meet up the requirement of OGP, that is all government partnerships or inclusive government. Now, what we see is that government have not implemented its own requirement of that OGP or town hall in order to meet up with this. Now, when we talk of procurement now, you are taking the talk out there, whereas people are not even aware with your own personal motives and understanding. In fact, my stay in Sabina also, it was one time when I had KAGP had a program at Kaduna North Carolina. That was the only. So what are you people trying to tell us in terms of Kaduna State procurement?
Okay.
Is it confidential or confidential?
All right, Buba, we got you on that. Martins, I'd like you to take that.
Yes, you see, what we are saying is that, yes, these commitments are there, these reforms are there. And we as civil society, we are not holding brief for government. However, we are talking about the experience around how we have engaged these reforms and how much we are also holding government accountable to this. And like you have rightly said, yes, there are several instances where government have made commitments to town hall meetings, but for reasons that sometimes we ourselves, we do protest against, these town hall meetings are not happening at local government levels as they should. Procurement by the declarations of the governor, by commitments signed, like I said earlier, SIFTAs, the state fiscal responsibility, state fiscal accountability, transparency, accountability, and sustainability has provided for Kaduna State at the time of COVID-19 pandemic over 2 billion naira into the coffers of government as a grant at the time that we really needed those kind of funds to come in. So while government is achieving key indicators around that, we also as citizens must make sure that as government is seeking and attaining this mark, we are ensuring that the mark attained is also in line with our expectations in how we can improve accountability in Kaduna State. And so when you are talking about, oh, these town hall meetings are not holding, yes, we encourage that kind of conversation because government needs to know that consultation, co-creation, are key elements to achieving this entire fiscal transparency that we're talking about. So yes, even the procurement process, it is supposed to be open, but we're still having difficulty having MDAs meet up to this need. Like I said in time past, go across Kaduna State now with all of this urban development project that is happening, roads are being built, markets are being developed. You rarely will see government even putting the signpost to tell people this is what we are doing. So it is a challenge. People are not having access to the procurement data that used to be readily available. And then when government is also releasing this procurement data, we're also being concerned that there are only instances where the funding partners are themselves also making it obligatory on government to make public these disclosures. We have seen that happen with the UBEC funded projects under SUBEP. We want to see that replicated across a lot of MDAs. And like you, Umar, we are also concerned that it is taking too long for government to back these political commitments with political will and action.
All right. We are fast running out of time, but we still have time enough to take some more items. So we'll come to Vershima now. I want you to, in summary, because we have less than 7 minutes to round it up. In summary, tell us what you do. Then I'll take the parting shots from Leslie and Martins. Vershima.
Okay, so I believe that at the end of the day, what we need to do is to continue to seek out, these commitments that have been made. Continue to ask questions around the steps that are being taken, especially for things that we can see around us. Just as Martins mentioned, if you go around Kaduna, you will see a lot of construction going on. We can start from asking questions from what we can see, what is right in front of us. Then we can then begin to ask questions around those that we do not see, but we know that are affecting our community, affecting our children, affecting our relatives, and all of that. And just like I've said in the report that we're going to be publishing, making public very soon, we have taken our time to map out these steps that need to be taken, especially by the various stakeholders. So, and we are definitely open to partnering, working with other organizations, with other arms of the government who are ready for us to partner together. Let's see how we can support to take these steps.
Leslie Dongh, parting shots.
Yeah, so I think like everybody has actually said, there's what we should be doing, there's what the government should be doing. Again, Martins had said it, but I'll just say it again. Not that we hold brief for government, but it would be unfair to say that government hasn't done anything, 0%. No. For the caller, I would encourage you to also try and search out information. There are some of these town hall meetings that are actually held.
Yeah.
It was just maybe the process by which they actually held. It came so fast, not everybody could be carried along. At OGP level, in the last state action plan, I know some of the commitments, there were 5 commitments. Some of the commitments were meeting regularly, citizens engagement, and at least open contracting, open budget. So it would be unfair to say that they actually never met or OGP isn't working. Again, I don't work for government. I'm just saying that we should also check out and follow some of these things hard enough or well enough to know what is going on. From there, we can now probe more to get the answers that we're actually looking for. So it's a collective effort, and I know that together we can achieve that goal.
Okay, Martins, your parting shot.
Well, for me, one, fiscal transparency benefits the government as much as it benefits the citizenry. Because when government is not transparent, it only gives room for speculation. And most of the time, speculations are dangerous because most often than not, you hear rumors that government is spending so much to come out and debunk. There are procurements that are being funded with public funds, but yet you find people in communities being told that this is philanthropy. And the reason why that can happen is because government itself, who is doing so much around that, is also blocking the information that citizens or communities need to just access and simply know and follow through with them. And it's so sad. You go around town and you go monitoring procurements and you see projects that were just done less than 2 years ago or more, less than 2 years ago. And you know that, like for instance in education, you know that the schools have not been so much in session, whether due to lockdown or as recent as insecurity. But you find that the projects that were just recently handed over to government is already in a deplorable condition or better than decaying. And these things are happening. We don't want a situation where the governor and the current administration is exiting, and then we start looking for what the legacies are. That is why we are mobilizing communities now who are supposed to also be partners in progress, and they can only effectively do their part when government identifies their role as partners in progress. So, for as much as it is, I want to see the governor take that commitment forward, and really, if it will require a circular going out to tell these MDAs, these honorable commissioners, the executive secretaries of government agencies, that look, when citizens come asking for this procurement data, let them have it, because at the end of the day, we are only securing what all of us will have to come back to see we did together tomorrow.
Wow. That's about the size of the program today. But before I go, I'd like to sincerely appreciate first Martin's Dangwa.
Thank you, sir.
Leslie Dongh.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, Vershima Tingir. That name is always it's a tongue-twisting name. From PPDC, that's our Public and Private Development Center. They, in fact, are the ones responsible for this program coming to us today. I thank you all for all the contributions and believing that the work that we've all been doing, because I wouldn't exclude myself from it, is one that in the future, when we look back, we would say, yes, indeed, we've tried our best. Well, until next week, when Ground Zero will be back again, that's on Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m., I want to wish you all a blast. And tell you, like always, plant a tree today, water it, and watch it grow. May the good mighty Lord bless and keep us all. Before you claim the right of way, make sure you are safe and not sorry. I am Ehis Agbon. Call me the peacemaker.